Okay, if commissioners will take your seats.
This is all stormwater stuff.
Commissioner Jordan?
Here.
Commissioner Strickland?
Here.
Commissioner Mark Harmon?
Here.
Commissioner Bolus?
Here.
Commissioner Norman?
Here.
Commissioner Ivan Harmon?
Here.
Commissioner Kate? Commissioner Trammell?
Here.
Commissioner Hammond?
Here.
Commissioner Leuthold? Craig Leuthold?
Here.
Commissioner Frank Leuthold? Commissioner Kaywood? Here. Commissioner Lambert? Here. Commissioner Smith?
Here.
Commissioner Moore?
Here.
Commissioner Ballard? Commissioner Huddleston? Here. Commissioner Green? Commissioner Pinkston?
Okay, we have all 19 members present. Before we do the devotional this month, I'd like for everyone to stand and let's have a moment of silence for a former councilman, Ed Bailey, who served this county well, and his son, Joe Bailey, is serving on city council now. And over the next few days and weeks and months, let's remember their families as they go through this terrible situation. Amen. This month's devotion will be by Commissioner Greg Lambert.
Fine, I've asked Reverend Scott Hooks from Temple Baptist Church to do that for us.
All right, let's pray. Dear Father, we thank you for this beautiful place that we call home, East Tennessee, Knoxville. We thank you for this community. And today we pray for our officials, for our mayor, and the councilmen and women who serve our county, our commissioners. Lord Jesus, we ask that you will give them wisdom and help them today as they make decisions that will impact the lives of so many in our community. We pray especially for our mayor and his wife. We pray for her health and for her recovery. We pray that you will touch her body and bring healing to her. And now we thank you for your blessings, for the beautiful day that you've given us. And we pray now for guidance in this meeting, and may everything that is done glorify our Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ. We pray it in his name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And Commissioner Tim Green will lead us to the pledge.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all.
Okay, we're on amendments to the agenda. We have one to add for engineering department. Also, we need to withdraw resolution 907. Page 15, 907. Also, I don't think we need to add it, but I will anyway. Resolution 901 deals with the Gate Street TIF. All the information wasn't in the packet, so it is now. County Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have with us today Commissioner John Keyes from the State Department of Veterans Affairs, and at your pleasure, we would like to take a moment, step outside, and present him with the keys, and obviously we want the Commission to join us in that presentation.
Okay, would you like to do it right now?
I would, sir.
Okay, if we have no objections, page 15, resolution 909. Clerk, if you'll read that into the record.
Consideration of a resolution of the Commission of Knox County, Tennessee, approving the donation of a 2006 Ford Supreme Senator van to the Ben Ashley State Veterans Home.
Intergovernmental.
Intergovernmental approved 9-0.
Finance Committee.
Committee approved 10-0. Make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And it's unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you step outside, I'd like to introduce Commissioner Keys. This is a project that I had the pleasure to work with him in quite some time. This veterans nursing home would not be possible without the generosity of the citizens of Knox County and the leadership of the Knox County Commission. And this van is just one more way of saying thank you to our veterans, and it'll also go a long way toward transporting them across this community as they seek various types of medical treatment. I think it's a really fine van and a really great project. So, Commissioner Keys, we're grateful for you, the leadership you provide to veterans across the state. I'll let you introduce some folks with you today. And also, we appreciate you working with us to make this project a reality. We're very grateful to you.
Thank you, Mayor Ragsdale, and to the County Commission of Knox County. Let me first just introduce some of the people that are with me here today. First, the administrator for the Ben Ashley State Veterans Home is Melissa Franklin, who is our new administrator. Did I say something? Yeah. Oh, that's it. With me, I have an Assistant Commissioner, Don Samuels, with my department, with my Administrative Services Director, Norman Nash. And we have some veterans from here in Knox County with the United Veterans of East Tennessee. Mr. Gerald Clark, I call him Gerald, I don't know what his middle name is, but I call him Gerald P. Clark for persistence. Gerald Clark, County Sheriff's Office, Chuck Jones, my mind just went blank, and Nathan Weinbaum just came on with the department in Chuck's office. But first, just before we have the presentation, I just wanted to thank you for your participation. On behalf of the more than 540,000 veterans in the state of Tennessee, and for those who come to receive your services through the Knox County area, you know, this has been a project that has been worked on for a while, and I'm just glad to have been part of it, to see it come to fruition with the help of our governor, Governor Bredesen, and all of the support here. You know, it's when you look back and see what is going on in terms of veteran services, to be involved in a project to work with Mayor Ragsdale and this county into bringing this together. This is, in fact, of the three homes we have, I would say this is probably the Cadillac of the homes. And it's something that that you should be proud of, and I know we should be proud of it many years into the future. But the main thing, not only that, but it's that the service that it would be providing for the veterans as we get into the ages where for long-term care is somewhere that should one have to be in a long-term care facility. I think this would be a place that they would be, the family would be proud of, the community could be proud of, the state can be proud of, because veterans, this state's and this nation's most precious natural resource, that's the way I look at it. And for all the services that they've done, this is the least we can do for those who have reached this point in their lives where they have given all of their lives to service to the state and this nation. And so on behalf of that, we accept this and just want to say thank you for your service, thank you for your contributions, and we look forward to continue working with you in the future. Thank you very much.
Chairman, if the commission would join me outside for the presentation, I'd be most grateful.
All right. Just let everyone know that the county mayor's calling for this recess.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to remove item 7-3-101 from consent, and if we could move that toward the beginning. I have some students that need to get back to class.
Okay, we'll move it as far to the top as we can. And I guess we also need to remove on page 3, 102. Commissioner Lutho.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to remove 801 from the consent and just hear it in order. And I just want to go ahead and disclose on items number, I believe it's 903 and 904, I do work for the Knox County trustee.
Okay, 801, what was the other one?
I was just disclosing the fact that I work for the Knox County trustee on a couple of resolutions we're going to hear later.
Commissioner Norman.
I'd like to remove 903 from consent. That's page 14.
Okay, if we have no objections, we'll do that. Commissioner Smith.
Resolution 605.
What page?
Page 6.
Okay, and we need to add everything that's to be added and withdraw anything on here to be withdrawn. Commissioner Hammond.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On Resolution 101, I'd like to make my way to the podium and ask the Coach Shelley Sexton Collier and her students from Webb if they would join me at the podium.
This is a resolution of the Commission of Knox County, Tennessee, honoring the Webb High School Lady Spartans basketball team for winning the TSSAA Division II state championship.
Intergovernmental. Intergovernmental.
Craig, you want to go?
I was just admiring these young women down there that won the state championship.
I don't blame you, Commissioner.
Intergovernmental voted 9-0 to approve.
Okay, Finance Committee. We got a motion to approve. Seconded by Commissioner Trammell. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And it's unanimous. Clerk, will you read it into the record?
Whereas on March the 3rd, 2007, the Webb High School Lady Spartans became the first girls high school basketball team to win a state championship from Knox County with a 50-47 victory over Brentwood Academy. And among the many standouts for the Lady Spartans was junior Glory Johnson, the tournament most valuable player in TSSAA Division II Miss Basketball. And joining Glory Johnson on the all-tournament team were Jessica Goswitz and Faith Ree. And whereas the seniors on the team are Emily Dupree, Lauren Shepard, and Shayla Jackson. Whereas Coach Shelley Sexton Collier is no stranger to championships, as she was part of the famous Corn-Fed Chicks that won the national championship for the Tennessee Lady Vols in 1987. And whereas the Knox County Commission wishes to honor the Webb High School Lady Spartans basketball team and Coach Shelley Sexton Collier for their championship season, of which we are all very proud. Now therefore be it resolved by the Commission of Knox County as follows. The Knox County Commission, on behalf of all the citizens of Knox County, hereby honors and congratulates the Webb High School Lady Spartans basketball team and Coach Shelley Sexton Collier on the occasion of becoming the first girls high school basketball team to win a TSSAA state championship from Knox County. Be it further resolved that this resolution is to take effect from and after its passage as provided by the Charter of Knox County, Tennessee, the public welfare requiring it.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, it was 20 years ago that Shelley Sexton Collier made history with the Lady Vols as they won their first national championship. So 20 years later, she's again part of history. It's hard to believe that in the history of women's basketball, high school basketball in this state, there has not been a champion from Knox County. But this year we had two. we had Webb, and also Austin East. So I think this sends a message to the schools across Tennessee that Knox County is here, and this is not the only time that we're going to be recognizing Knox County girls basketball for state championships. And so I wanted to recognize Coach Collier. But first, Coach Collier, I want to introduce Mayor Mike Ragsdale for a couple of remarks, and we'd like for you to introduce your players.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Hammond. This is a wonderful honor for our community. I think it says a great deal about young people when they can dedicate themselves to a goal and then achieve it and fulfill it and do it in a way that shows class and dignity and poise, and you and your team did that. We're very, very proud of you, and with some players coming back, we're also looking forward to next season. Don't want to put any undue pressure on you, but you know, if Coach Summit can three-peat, why not at least a two-peat repeat from Webb? And I think you've got the talent to do it, so we're excited about your future as well, and thank you for joining us today. If you'll introduce the folks who are with you, and then we have a couple of things for you.
First of all, to my left here is Faith Dupree. She's a sophomore. Shayla Jackson was a senior, big leader for us this year. Jessica Goswitz is a sophomore, our point guard. Lene Berry is a sophomore guard. And this is Glory Johnson, a junior, who was recognized as Miss Basketball, as he said, and are the MVP of our tournament. On behalf, our other Lady Spartan members are in school right now. We've been off for spring break, or they would have been here, and we certainly want to extend to you all our appreciation for you having us here today. I'm very fortunate and blessed to be able to do something that I love every day, and that's work with young people. So I feel like I'm the luckiest person in the world to be able to work with such a fine group of young ladies. And again, on behalf of my staff and our basketball team and Webb School, thank you for honoring our basketball team today. We're very proud to represent Knox County. Thank you so much.
Resolution 102 is consideration of a resolution of the Commission of Knox County, Tennessee, honoring John Rose.
Intergovernmental.
Intergovernmental voted 9-0 to approve.
Finance.
Second.
Properly moved and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Could you read it into the record, clerk?
Whereas senior John Rose, a student at Gibbs High School, was the manager for Gibbs High School boys basketball team. And whereas John Rose also managed the Gibbs High School football team and participated in the Olympics, where he won a gold medal in basketball and a silver medal in bowling. And whereas John Rose's dedication to the Gibbs High School Eagles basketball team was displayed on a daily basis as he worked tirelessly and amiably managing duties. And whereas at the request of a few players on the basketball team, John Rose was given the opportunity to play at the January 30th, 2007 home game against Midway. And whereas John Rose helped the Gibbs High Eagles defeat the Midway Green Wave by scoring 2 3-point shots, and at the end of the game was carried off the court on the shoulders of his teammates. And whereas on senior night, the student body of Gibbs High School presented basketball player, manager, John Rose with the Gibbs High School Eagles Letterman's jacket for his immeasurable contribution to his team and his classmates. Now therefore be it resolved by the Commission of Knox County as follows. The Commission of Knox County, on behalf of all the citizens of Knox County, wishes to honor and congratulate John Rose for his dedicated service to the Gibbs High School Eagles basketball team and for teaching everyone associated with the program, the school, the community, and all of us a lesson in courage and commitment. Be it further resolved that this resolution is to take effect from and after its passage as provided by the Charter of Knox County, Tennessee, the public welfare requiring it.
After hearing that resolution, I really take great pleasure in introducing the outstanding citizen of District 8 out in Knox County, John Rose. Perhaps you all have read about him in the paper. Alan Williams did a real nice little TV highlight on him, and probably there can't be enough said about him. This is a young man that gets up in the morning without any protocols, hidden agendas, biased or prejudiced, and he lives life the way that we ought to live it. And he has such an infectious spirit about him that he touches the hearts and lives of others around him and make them better. I'm going to quote something here from Janice Walker, the principal of Gibbs High School. She says, "John, we have learned much more from you than you could have ever learned from us." And like I said, this young man is a great individual. And the thing about it, he goes about the way that he does it. I had the opportunity to sit behind him at the Carter Gibbs basketball game. He didn't know I was there. I didn't know him. And I mean, he has everybody pumped from the time you get there till the time the game is over, win or lose. And it's like I said, this is with great pleasure that I introduce John Rose, and I believe his coach wants to say a few words about him as well.
First off, John and the Gibbs community, the Gibbs basketball team, we'd all like to thank you for having us here today to honor this great young man. Mr. Ballard is exactly correct. If you've ever been around John Rose, like he said, he just sat behind him. If you're anywhere near him, he's going to talk to you, and he's going to have a positive outlook. His goal in life is for every day to make everybody happy all day long. If we all live by that, what a great place this would be. And when he says that, he means it. And all you have to do is talk to him for 2 or 3 minutes. I'd like to introduce the other guys that are here with us. When we decided that we were going to let John participate in this game to make his lifelong dream come true, the 3 seniors that are here with me are the 3 that came and said, "Coach, you think we can get John in a game?" And I said, "Guys, I don't know for sure if we can get him in a game, but we can sure dress him out one game, and if you all do your part, we'll get him in the game." And they did their part. He got in the game and hit 2 threes, and this young man, he'll never forget that for the rest of his life. These 3 gentlemen are Cody McDaniel to the left, Aaron Large, and Austin Hill, and then, of course, the man, John Rose.
People like you that make our county a really great place, and today it's our pleasure to honor you. As county mayor, I've got a proclamation proclaiming today John Rose Day in Knox County. I hope you'll enjoy this. We have our sheriff on stage, along with our sheriff Jimmy Jones on stage, with our commission chairman Scott Moore, Commissioner Jack Huddleston, and Commissioner Ballard. So if you'll take this from me and walk up, they've got some other gifts for you.
He's going to have on stage.
Okay, clerk, we're on consent items. Do we have a motion to approve?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Strickland. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Clerk, next item.
Education consent calendar, resolution 201. This is to approve a contract with Henley Roofing Company, Inc. for the partial re-roofing of Fall Camp Elementary School.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Commissioner Smith makes a motion, seconded by Commissioner Ivan Harmon. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Resolution 103 is honoring the Austin East High School Lady Roadrunners basketball team for winning the TSSAA Class AA State Championship. 401 is approving covenants for permanent maintenance of stormwater facilities by West Park Baptist Church for property known as West Park Baptist Church. 402 is approving covenants for permanent maintenance of stormwater facilities by Lake Cove Properties, LLC, for property located in Lake Cove Subdivision. 403 is approving covenants for permanent maintenance of stormwater facilities by MJM Development, Inc., for property located in Micah Creek Subdivision. 404 is approving covenants for permanent maintenance of stormwater facilities by Oakhurst, LLC, for property located in Oakhurst Subdivision. 405 is approving covenants for permanent maintenance of stormwater facilities by Forest Brook Development, LLC, for property located in Providence Park Subdivision. 406 is approving covenants for permanent maintenance of stormwater facilities by Michael C. Rhodes, LLC, for property located at Wood Creek South, Unit 1. 407 is approving a contract with the State of Tennessee Department of Transportation for the installation of a multi-phase traffic signal at the intersection of SR 131 and Yarnell Road. 408 is approving a contract with Knoxville Utilities Board for the operation and maintenance of the Rita and Gap Creek wastewater treatment facilities. 501 is approving contracts with CMH Manufacturing, Inc. for 6 modular house plans for Knox County's Affordable Housing Rehabilitation Program. 602 is approving a grant agreement in the amount of $50,000 with the State of Tennessee Department of Health for adolescent pregnancy prevention services for fiscal year 2008. 603 is approving a grant agreement in the amount of $75,000 between the State of Tennessee Department of Health and 10 Core Community Services, Inc. to provide the Moms, Volunteers, and Partnership Program for FY 2008. 604 is approving a grant agreement in the amount of $30,000 with the State of Tennessee Department of Health for pandemic influenza preparedness. 802 is approving a contract with Caldwell Fence Erection Company, Inc. for the provision of fencing services. 902 is approving a contract for the provision of specific excess workers' compensation coverage or basic Tennessee workers' compensation coverage. 905 is approving a lease extension endorsement with Broadway Corporation for premises at 7028 Maynardville Pike and 7030-B Maynardville Pike for the Knox County Clerk's Office at Hall's Shopping Center. 906 is approving a grant agreement in the amount of $15,000 with the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency to provide pass-through funding from the Department of Energy for off-site emergency planning and response. 908 is asking the Rules Committee to consider an amendment to the Commission rules pertaining to the time of the County Commission meetings.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Approval of the previous meeting?
So moved.
Commissioner Luco?
I've given a few minor corrections to the clerk's office, and I hope the motion includes those changes. I'll go over them if you want me to, but they agreed with them all.
Okay.
I'll second it with those changes.
Second it with the changes. Okay, any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Okay, we're on approval of the previous meeting. Have a motion?
Yep. That's what we
just did that.
Oh. Okay, we're on elections and appointments. Getting a little behind.
Resolution 110 is consideration of a resolution of the Commission of Knox County, Tennessee, appointing a member to the Knox County Ethics Committee.
Intergovernmental?
Intergovernmental been voted 9-0 to approve. Julia Tucker.
Okay, Finance Committee?
Finance Committee voted 10-0 to approve, but with no name. I make a motion to Julia Tucker.
Okay, any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, go over the list of the names again. Just who all do we have that?
That's the only name that we had.
Oh, no, but the whole committee. Do we have that available?
County Mayor, you want to help on that one?
Being on the whole committee.
Yeah, the committee.
I've got to name them all. Ragsdale Ford, Tim Waller, Preacher Stewart, Reverend Stewart. You want to name yours?
No, go ahead. You're doing pretty good.
Chaplin.
Frank Shanklin. Martha Phillips.
Fisher is over there, or me. Frank Hanson. One more.
Well, and then you have Dr. Clarence Sexton from Temple Baptist Church and Crown College, and you also have Captain Mike Duncan from the Knox County Sheriff's Department.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We have a meeting. I'll let Mr. Tucker know about the meeting tomorrow morning we have. Would you like to come up, Mr. Tucker, and say something after we approve you?
Okay, let's go ahead and vote on it, Commissioner Pinkston. First. Come on down to the podium. That's fine. We've got a motion and seconded to approve. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And it's unanimous. Ms. Tucker, thank you for the willingness to serve on the Ethics Committee.
Thank you. I appreciate your confidence in me, and I certainly will work hard and very, very diligent to bring together what everybody wants right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, 111.
This is to approve the appointment of Kenneth Gresham, Jr. to the Knox County Historic Zoning Commission.
Intergovernmental?
Intergovernmental voted 9-0 to approve.
Finance Committee?
10-0 to approve.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And it's unanimous. Next item.
Resolution 112 is to appoint members to the Knox County Codes Commission.
Intergovernmental?
Intergovernmental voted 9-0 to approve.
Finance Committee?
Mr. Chairman?
Motion approved.
And the names that I've gathered is Commissioner Jordan, Commissioner Ballard, and Commissioner Kaywood to serve on it. So do we have, who seconded it?
I second. I believe Commissioner Pinkston made the motion. I seconded.
Yeah. Okay, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Okay, we're on page 13.
Resolution 605.
605.
This resolution is approving a grant agreement in the amount of $265,000 with the State of Tennessee Department of Health to provide HIV/AIDS prevention, surveillance, and sexually transmitted disease services.
601.
Did we skip 601?
Go ahead and do that when we do 601.
Okay, let's go ahead and finish this one. 605. Intergovernmental.
Intergovernmental voted 9-0 to approve.
Finance Committee.
Finance Committee 10-0, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Chairman. Aye. You're on 605, right?
Yes.
I just want to make the comment over on page 2 and page 3. And I know this is free money. We're getting it from the state. You know, you try to take all the free money you get. But I've got a problem when you look at number 3 and number 5 there, and on page 3, number 8, talk about men having sex with men, and we're giving $265,000 to talk about this sort of stuff. And, you know, we get 5 inches, our notebooks are 5 inches thick, and there's a lot of stuff that's hidden in here. And, you know, I think we all as commissioners take it seriously what our job is. And I know for my district, not too many people are interested in men having sex with men, and I'm going to vote against this.
Okay. We'll go back. We started to vote, but we'll go back and do it. It's been properly seconded, so any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
No.
Okay. Commissioner Lambert, Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Huddleston. Anybody else voting no? Commissioner Kaywood. Anybody else? Okay. Motion carries. 15-4. Motion carries. Back to 601.
This resolution is approving the 2007-2008 Indigent Care Agreement.
Intergovernmental.
Intergovernmental voted 9-0 with no recommendation.
Finance Committee.
With 10-0, make a motion to approve.
Okay, we got a motion to approve.
Second.
Approved by Commissioner Binks and seconded by Commissioner Luthold. Any discussion? It's
5.25.
Commissioner Trammell.
I mean, in principle, I agree with this, but I would rather wait till we get the entire budget and to look and see what money we have. And I know Frank said we've done this for about the last 10 years. It's not changed. The money's not changed. But to piece it together, it seems it would be easier if we could get the entire budget to look at it.
Can I speak?
Yes, let's get a question. Go ahead, Commissioner Luthold.
As I indicated in Finance Committee the other day, for a long time, Knox County has had an indigent care program. In fact, this cost is millions less than it was 20-some years ago. And it stayed fixed at this level. This is an agreement where basically we're paying about 20-25% of the cost of medical care. A better deal you can't get. I would also indicate that this includes in there the care of prisoners, that in care of Knox County and other people here. The part of it that if we didn't have this contract, one, we'd have to dismantle the program now, because the reason this came about is that the health providers needed to know whether the program was going to carry on another year or whether it wasn't going to carry on another year. If we're going to wait till budget time, they're going to pull out the program, and we won't have a program when we get to the budget to approve, because our agreement is that we would do it at this time of year so they would know whether they're going to continue or whether they close shop at the end of June. And this is probably one of the best things we have in the program for cost effectiveness and a very worthy program for citizens in Knox County. I couldn't think of a program that the one that we least would want to get into. This is probably the least one we would want to get into because of that. So I would urge everybody to go ahead and vote for this, as we have agreed that we would do it this time of year. And it is one that the cost has been held down to a very, very low level. And we've experimented with some other means of doing it. This one here is really one of the better ones.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Mayor Ragsdale, if this item was put off until budget time, does it jeopardize anything, or are we okay?
It could. We've approved it at this time every year, and Commissioner Trammell's point is well made. You'd like to look at things all together at once, but this is an outstanding program that we're getting an incredible amount for a limited number of dollars spent for our most needy citizens. And these are people who need primary care desperately. The hospitals, Commissioner Luthold Sr. can correct me on this, but I don't think we've increased the dollar amount in this program in the past 17 years at least. And we've been still getting, while health care has gone up. Also, it's important to note that 26% of this amount roughly will go back to the Knox County Health Department for their primary care. So the government is really doing its share as well. But the hospitals, each and every one of them have been absolutely great partners. Every year while the costs go up, they maintain the same amount, and I would hope we could go ahead and do this. Again, Commissioner Trammell's point is a good one, but I think we'd be making, I would hope that we could go ahead and approve this today. I think it's a great step, and I think it sends the hospitals a message that we're going to continue to work with them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, I agree with Mr. Trammell in principle that we ought to look at it when it comes budget time. But, you know, I don't want to say that we're not going to approve this. I think in all reality we will. But, you know, I'd just soon wait till budget time as well. So, Commissioner Trammell?
I'm in no way suggesting that we look somewhere else for this. But if we didn't set the criteria for this contract, it was set under a prior commission. If we need to change that criteria, maybe we can do that. I mean, this is budgeted from July till June. And they want the contract signed early, that's fine. But if we could sign a contract using them and then just wait on the dollar amount till we know what we have to deal with. We've got a number of issues coming up on our budget this year. And I just feel more comfortable in knowing exactly what I had to work with. Phil Bredesen, a few years back, when he needed money, he cut everybody's budget a certain percentage. And if we have to do that, I mean, it worked for the state, you know. we have to do that. And I don't think anybody would be excluded from that. And that's my only point. I'm in no way saying we're not getting a great deal and they're not providing a good service. I truly believe that. But I just think I'd like to see everything on the table first.
Okay, Mayor Ragsdale.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This commission on November 26th voted on a primary care contract with Cherokee Health Systems. So we need to be, and it starts on April 1, so we need to fund this if we can. Now, Governor Bredesen did cut 10%, but where he took most of the money was from local governments. And he cut us a lot more than that. He's cut state shared revenues dramatically, and that's why you saw local governments across Tennessee have to pass tax increases, because we don't have any place else to go. The feds don't balance their budget at all. The state balanced theirs on our back, and I don't think that we would want to cut health care to the poorest of our citizens. Governor Bredesen was able to do that because of programs like this and the Interfaith Health Clinic and others that picked them up. We don't have anywhere else to go with this. So, again, you're going to be leaving some people out without care from April 1st to July 1, unless we can get this approved. Again, in concept, it's difficult to argue with what you're saying. In reality, it just doesn't work as well that way. And again, this is an amount that the hospitals have stayed with for at least 17 years, where everybody else in Tennessee has gone up. I don't want to push the envelope to the point of messing this up.
Okay, Commissioner Hammond.
Hey, Mr. Chairman. Saying that these folks will be without health care from April until June, well, they're going to the emergency room. If somebody is sick and if somebody needs help, they're going to the emergency room. The cost of going to an emergency room is much, much higher than what we're looking at through Cherokee Health or Interfaith Health Clinic or some of those. These folks provide a very much needed service here in Knox County. And Mayor, I'd just like to ask you, with the providers that are waiting for us to make a decision so they know how to budget, and I'm sure they have physicians who are being paid through these funds, supplies, etc. Can you tell us who is being affected by this? You mentioned Cherokee Health System, but I believe that we have every hospital in town that's for us to make this decision.
Well, 7 hospitals, and correct me, Mr. Jones, if I'm wrong, but that would include East Tennessee Children's Hospital. It would include Baptist Hospital, the University of Tennessee Medical Center, Fort Sanders West, Park West, and Baptist West.
So from a cost standpoint, we start sending people to the emergency rooms here in our town. That's where they're going. They're not going to just not be sick and not be treated. You're looking at a lot more cost than what we're looking at here. So I would just encourage us to go ahead and approve this now, particularly since there's no increase.
And just as a side item, Commissioner Trammell is right. We may actually reduce some operating budgets this year, may be forced to do that. But I can tell you that this administration will not recommend cutting an indigent care budget that is this low already, particularly when it addresses our seniors, and those are our children as well.
Okay, I don't see in the book where it says starting April 1st. Can you point to that page? Or?
Well, you approved a contract back in November with Cherokee. Was it November? With Cherokee Health Systems already that starts this April, so we can't really fund the program in just a few days, or at least that piece of it.
Do we need to have it reflected in the contract?
Well, we can do that if we need to, but you already approved a separate contract for them. That was back in November.
Okay, Mr. Law Director.
The money is already there this year through June, right? The previous contract runs through June of this year, as I understand it.
That's correct.
The previous indigent care contract.
Yes.
Right? So
the one with Cherokee was approved in November, and it's conditioned on the 26% that comes to the health department that's in the indigent care contract. So they have not actually signed that contract.
Right. But we'll still have the 26% basically in place through June, right?
Well, yes, we would have.
I mean, the previous arrangement still stands, but if the funds basically for that contract will expire at the end of June of this year if we don't re-up the contract and appropriate more funds.
one of the things that Cherokee has gone into this agreement with us has been based on this contract. So it's very important. I mean, I think it's very important for them to know that there's funding in place to have this program. And that contract was approved in the Commission's agenda in November. It starts next week. So everything's been premised on the fact that we would have indigent care. This contract, it would be approved. Every other year, I think Commissioner Luthol is right, we've approved it. In fact, the contract itself says that there has to be an agreement by April the 30th, if you look at it the way it's set up.
Right. And this is March.
Would we have some initial budget stuff, Mr. Mayor, by maybe the next meeting that you going to start meeting?
Probably not. We'll have it on May the 9th. Everybody wants it early, including me, but we haven't received anything from from the schools yet. Some of our bigger departments haven't finalized their budget, so to promise you something early, I can't do that.
Okay, Commissioner Lambert.
Mayor, is there any way that we could approve a 2-month or 3-month contract just to carry us through until budget time? Is that a possibility here, or is it we sign the full contract or we don't? Right.
Commissioner Lambert, the money's there until June 30th of this year.
But the contract's not signed.
The contract's not signed.
They want to know whether they're going to.
Could we compromise and do a short-term contract to carry us through until budget time?
I'd have to be speaking for the medical centers, and to be truthful with you, one of the great things about this, think about the increase in medical cost over the past 17 years, and the number is still the same. I don't look forward to negotiating that contract with them. I'd like to go ahead and approve this one. I think it's one really good deal for the citizens of Knox County.
Okay, Commissioner Pinkston.
Yes, the mayor retaliated on what I wanted to say there, but I would like to say this. We're sitting here worrying about our county insurance policy, getting it cheap, and here we've got a program that's before us that hadn't gone up in 17 years. We've got the model program in the United States for our indigent care here, and I think we need to approve this. That's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Smith.
Yeah, I agree. 17-year not having a rate increase, I make a motion to approve. Let's move on. We got a lot to do.
Seconded by Commissioner Hammond.
Yeah.
Commissioner Mark Harmon.
I think we've already made a motion to approve in second.
Yeah, that's fine.
We already had a motion to approve.
Okay. Sorry.
Commissioner Harmon.
Well, I would just say that I'm so glad that we are moving and seconding this, and I hope we pass it, because this commission routinely passes things that have an impact on the budget. And if we're going to start by questioning a good working program on indigent care, that doesn't indicate well that we're appealing to the best angels of our nature. And we just had a few symbolic votes against fighting a disease because of personal revulsion against how it's in one form transmitted. We can do better than that, and I hope we can do better. We can address our budget matters not by immediately looking toward a program for the poor. So I appreciate the motion and the second, and I hope we approve this.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. No. Me and Commissioner Trammell. 2 noes. (17-2). Motion passes. Okay, 801.
This is a resolution approving contract amendments with Keratin and Cigna Healthcare of Tennessee, Inc. for the period of July the 1st, 2007 through December 31st, 2007.
Intergovernmental.
Intergovernmental approved 9-0.
Finance Committee. Seconded by Commissioner Huddleston. Okay, any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Luthol.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor or John, question about, do we have additional costs to approve this versus what?
Commissioner, it's a 1.8% increase, I believe, with Cigna. Keratin is of no cost, and we have the money in the budget to be able to handle that cost.
So there's no additional cost to the MPs?
That is correct, sir.
Okay.
Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Next item.
Resolution No. 3 is to approve the compensation of the Knox County delinquent tax attorney Albert J. Harb of the law firm Hodges, Dowdy, and Carson for collection of delinquent real and personal property taxes.
Intergovernmental.
Approved 9-0.
Finance Committee.
NO, motion to approve.
Okay, properly second. Any discussion? Commissioner Lupo.
Abundance of caution indicate that my son works for the trustee.
Of course, I've already disclosed.
Okay, Commissioner Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had a question for our law director. John, what do we have within the county law department the ability to do this ourselves? And if we do, why don't we do it?
Do we currently have the ability? I mean, can we perform the service? Yes. Would it require some additional staffing? Yes. I believe legally we can fulfill the function. We've been asked to fulfill the function. Are we able to? Yes. At what cost? Probably up to around $150,000, I would think, and that would provide an attorney and a paralegal to do a great deal of this work.
So have you looked at this as a possibility since you've been in the seat as law director?
I have, along with the mayor. We've had several conversations, along with the previous trustee, the current trustee, and Al Harb, the attorney for the trustee, the delinquent tax attorney.
So what is the cost currently of county to accommodate this service to this law firm? What are we paying them?
We're not paying them anything. What this service does is by passing this resolution, you would be authorizing this firm to receive a 10% commission, basically, which is the delinquent tax penalty that's imposed on delinquent taxpayers. So that's the fee, basically, that this firm receives for doing that work.
So in your opinion, do you think that this is beneficial for the citizens of Knox County to proceed just as we have?
I'll leave that up to you guys to decide. The details of that, I'm sure, can be addressed by the trustee and the delinquent tax attorney. It boils down to your decision on. But let me give you this: the delinquent tax attorney is chosen by the trustee, along with the approval of the county mayor. And there's been a great deal of discussion about that prior to this meeting. This body sets the compensation rate for the delinquent tax attorney up to 10%. And so that rate can be negotiated with the delinquent tax attorney through the county trustee, although I don't believe that it's ever been less than 10%. And we have a resolution on the agenda today to increase the amount of delinquent tax penalties up to 20%, yet the county delinquent tax attorney would still only be receiving 10%, and the other 10% of that would go back to the county trustee's office. Is it beneficial? That would be up for this commission to decide. But at this point, this commission really doesn't get a veto authority over this decision. The decision has been made by the trustee, and the county mayor has given his approval for this current tax year through the end of December. This commission is only authorized by statute to address the fee.
Is there someone from the trustee's office here that? Okay, Fred, could you come and?
the trustee.
Fred, could you talk about this a little bit? And I just want to know about, are we being efficient? Are we being economical? That's all.
Okay. Hello. The question is, are we being efficient? And the answer is yes. Let me give you a great example. In addition to what John was talking about, one of the duties of the delinquent tax attorney is to work with our bankruptcy department. An example of how effective they are. This past year, there was a bankruptcy where Knox County filed and collected $350,000. The city of Knoxville, which does their delinquent tax attorney in-house, collected $30,000 on it. So Knox County netted over $320,000 more by using an outside firm such as Hodges Dottie Carson. That is the best example that I can give you. They have a staff of attorneys which specialize in different areas. They also handle many other proceedings that are before Knox County that deal with land, such as the surplus tax sale. They do all the legal work of that. And all their compensation for all these other activities come from the penalty fee that Mr. Owens had just addressed.
Thank you. And all I'm getting at is just this issue of economy, and certainly it's not like John has nothing to do. I'm not trying to burden our law department anymore. They have plenty to do. Thank you.
No, I understand that, and I appreciate it. But they really do a very substantial amount of work, and people just don't realize how much they do. Anyway, thank you. Is there any other questions?
Commissioner Trammell.
I was just saying there is no cost to taxpayers on this, is there? This comes from the people who are delinquent on their taxes.
Right, and the best example I can give you on that, my taxes are paid on time, your all's taxes are paid on time. I check. The only people that pay the only people that pay this are people whose taxes are more than 1 year past due, and it's a penalty. And so it's to encourage them to pay on time. And as Scott pointed out just a minute ago, Mr. Owens pointed out a minute ago, the next resolution is asking for the fee to go up to 20%. Once again, this is just a bigger hammer to encourage people to pay on time. And this is one of those items where we need the legal expertise of this law firm to do this. Because 95% of the people pay on time. They're happy to pay on time. They're glad to pay on time. The other 5% is very difficult to collect. We need their expertise. We need their work. We need their diligence. And as Mr. Owens said, we're asking for it to go up to 20%. The compensation that will go to the attorney is still the same 10% that is presently dedicated to them. The additional 10% is going to go to whatever use that the commission deems most worthy.
Oh, it's going to go to the general fund.
Or, the commission has the authority to do whatever they want.
Well, it's basically for the prosecution of delinquent taxpayers, and your office absorbs some cost in that process, and so
that's exactly right.
It will make its way back to the county through the trustee.
Right.
No. It is already earmarked for the prosecution of the suits. That's why we would be authorized to go up to 20%. But Fred's office, they do a lot too, support-wise, to assist the delinquent tax attorney in his efforts to collect taxes. And that cost is really not recognized currently with the 10%, in my opinion.
Okay, Commissioner Smith.
Fred, help me if you will here, because you guys do a great job. Your predecessor, you're one of the best in the state, Knox County's trustees department. Y'all do a real good job. Help me with this, because, like I say, I try to pay my taxes on time, and I do.
Right.
This law firm that comes in, after a year, then if somebody's late, and they just come in off the street and pay it, does the law firm get paid on that, or does the law firm just get paid on what they go out there and collect themselves? Because my question is, if they're out there and they're bringing that dollar in and they're getting it off the street, then give them that money. But if somebody comes in on their own accord, I see cutting some commissions.
Okay, and very good question. And the way that it works is once a a suit is filed for payment of, or non-payment of taxes, once that suit is filed, the penalty is added to the tax account. And so if they do walk in off the street on their own accord and the suit has been filed, then the firm is entitled to their compensation.
Yeah. I figured that's how it was, but
right. But no, once it's, but see, that is the work to protect Knox County's interest in the property. And, you know, unless we go the legal route, we can't do it.
And what's your all's collection rate? You all collect what percentage?
Our goal is 95% on the current year, and within a 3-year period, we try to get it up to 99%.
That's great.
Fred, may I also, right? May I also would like to add that that we do send out summonses from the delinquent tax attorney goes out to those individuals who have not paid their taxes. So they have contacted those people to pay their taxes. So it's not as if they're just walking off the street off their own and coming in. They have been contacted and been aware of that suit has been filed against them.
Right, that's exactly right. And what Craig is talking about, there is a complaint and a summons sent to every individual that has a parcel of land that is delinquent in taxes.
So they're served with the papers then?
Yes, they are.
Okay, Commissioner Ballard.
Fred, on that, when we say that the tax attorney gets 10%, what about the expenses associated with that? Filing fees, recording fees, subpoenas? Does he get 10%, however you want to look at it, and then we're paying the cost for those additional items?
We pay the clerk and master where we file it, or Chancery Court, I'm sorry. Well, we pay them a fee when we file it. It's a one lawsuit, so-and-so et al. And others.
And then if we're successful in our suit, does the individual come back and pay the cost on that?
Yes, sir. In addition to the penalty, there is also a court cost which is charged to every delinquent taxpayer. And I ran the numbers several weeks ago, just projecting, and there is more money that is collected in court cost than there is delinquent attorney fees.
And those court costs, that at some period of time, that comes back to the county?
Well, we send a check to the Chancery Court, and they use it. And if they have an excess, then it's turned over to the county in excess fees. But,
so you get a little bit additional in addition to the collection of the...
That's exactly right.
How many of these cases are compromised?
How many?
Very many?
Several thousand. I believe approximately 9,500 are going to be on the tax roll come April 1st.
Okay. And how do you decide which cases are compromised? Is it on ability to pay or?
No. We sue them all. We place a tax lien against every single one.
I think you misunderstood his question as far as compromises. I think his question is how many of them are not having to pay this?
How many have not paid?
Or who don't have to pay it, I think is what his question was. Is that what you were asking, Commissioner Ballard?
More or less, yeah.
How many people do not have to pay?
So they owe $2,000 and you accept $1,500 to move the case on.
We apply the $1,500 as a partial payment. And the
other $500 is not wrote off then?
No. It's still due. We'll continue to make an effort to collect it. Right.
Okay.
That's my mistake. Thank you.
Commissioner Bolus?
Brett, have y'all done any projections on what the difference would be if you went from 10 to 20% the upcoming year? Have y'all looked at that yet, approximately how much it would be in Knox County?
Historically, I think last year the delinquent attorney fee was just over $300,000. And so this year I would expect it to be approximately the same.
Okay. Commissioner Hammond.
One question. Commissioner Pinkston and I were talking about this. We were talking about it before the meeting. I will disclose that, but it was a question. Could you provide us with a list of the, say, the top 10 or top 15 or top 20 people or organizations, whatever, that are the most delinquent?
I would be happy to.
And if we could get that by the next meeting, that would be helpful.
No problem.
Fred, we're not talking about months. We're talking about dollar-wise. The people know the.
Okay. No, it's, we'll do that. No problem.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And it's unanimous.
Thank you.
Next item.
Resolution 904 is approving the imposition of a penalty at a rate of 20% upon all delinquent land taxes that shall accrue as provided by and in accordance with TCA Section 67-5-2410A1.
Intergovernmental.
Intergovernmental voted 9-0 with no recommendation.
Finance Committee.
No recommendation.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Second.
Okay. I've got a question. I don't know. This might be a mayor question or a Fred Sis question. I'm not sure. So I don't mind. This is kind of going with being a tax increase. I mean, it's an increase in the taxes. I know the people who are delinquent in their taxes are the ones who are paying it. So I would like to suggest if we could earmark the 10% and maybe have it going to schools for textbooks. Because I think we've got some problems. They're always trying to buy textbooks in our schools, and if we could earmark that kind of money for them every year, it may be some help to them.
I don't have a problem with that at all. I would rather just see go to schools in general and let the Board of Education decide exactly where they spend it. But of course, textbooks is a good thing. And
well, we probably can't tell them that they need to buy textbooks, but if we sent that message over to them, maybe they would.
That would be a good thing.
Can we earmark that?
Mr. Owens is.
Yes, I'd asked the question earlier if we could earmark those funds. It was my understanding Mr. Owens said we could not. That's why I'm asking for clarification.
Yeah, I may have misunderstood your question too. What the additional 10% is for the prosecution of the suits related to the delinquent taxpayers, which would go back to the county trustee. If you wish to earmark that, I mean, basically that's just an accounting matter. Let me look to Mr. Werner. Do you know of any reason why we couldn't do that?
That's a fine idea. All he would have to do is just simply absorb the $300,000 that he's getting out of this to defend those particular lawsuits, and then we can just see an enhancement in his turnover of excess fees to Knox County for $300,000, and we would earmark that for school books.
Right. It turns into an accounting issue.
Can you do that, Mr. Sis?
I had misunderstood your question, Commissioner.
Okay. Commissioner Kate.
So we earmark it for school books, and it goes to the Board of Education? Is
Yes.
that the way that works?
Yes.
We can't keep it and give it to them for books?
We didn't vote.
Well, you need to make that as part of the resolution.
Are you saying, Mr. Mayor, we could keep the money on our side and buy textbooks? No. Okay.
No.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
What you need, but whoever the maker of the motion needs to make an amendment to earmark that money, and then the second would have to accept that.
Yeah. I think Commissioner Pinkston made the motion. Would you take a friendly amendment? Trammell made the motion.
Mr. Trammell did.
Would you make that as a friendly amendment?
I would.
Let me ask you this. State law says once we fund them any money, that they can do what they want to with it. We can't give it to them.
Yeah, that is true, Commissioner. That is
I don't
true.
know how amending this is,
Well, we need to amend. I think what we need to do is amend it so that the money is earmarked to go to the Board of Education, not necessarily to fund textbooks, but for them to be able to spend it however they wish to spend it. It'd be going towards their operation fund.
But
and then they obviously they could buy textbooks with it, or they can pay a teacher, or
right. That's what the state law says. Anything we give them, they can do what we can give it to them for textbooks, and they can use it for janitorial supplies.
Well, I agree that
either we're going to give it to them or we're not. We can't send the strings attached.
Yeah, I think we just need to send it on to their operation fund, and then they can use that to buy textbooks or teachers, or give raises to teachers, or.
That is correct. I mean, we can't send it with holding them to buy textbooks, but I think as we see our kids going through the school system, they come home and they have to share textbooks. I think this is one way that we can ask the school system to put this money toward textbooks. And I think if we send it, they'll probably do it, hopefully.
Yeah, with that recommendation and hope.
Right. Commissioner Smith.
Or maybe they can just tell us each year what they're going to do with the money. Just let us know after they finish with it. I think they're going to do whatever you request.
Well, I think we have a good working relationship with the Knox County School Board now, and I think if we ask Chairman Carson and the members to do something, that we're sending some extra money over here for you, that I think they would probably do it. At least I'd like to send it over in good faith.
Commissioner Moore, let's send it in good faith for 1 year. And then we'll see how, let's just earmark it for 1 year, and then next year we'll decide what we do want to do with it if it's not used for textbooks.
Can we do that, Mr. Law Director?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You take that in your amendment, Mr. All right.
I'll accept that as a second.
Okay, and we still have Commissioner Ballard. Your light's on.
Yes. Well, we got some coffee flowing.
Well, let me go to Commissioner Lambert first, and then we'll come back to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I think it was wise for us to make that earmark for a single year, because what I think is going to happen is I do believe the state will probably approve the senior tax where they freeze your property taxes, and in the years to come, if we approve that on the local level, which I'm assuming we probably will if the state allows us to, we may need that additional 10% to offset the reduced taxes on folks 65 and over. So I didn't want us to lock ourselves into sending that money to the schools, whereas in the future we may need that money just to break even.
Okay, Commissioner Ballard.
Question for the law director. John, if I picked up on this last time, the 20% wasn't that in sort of progressive steps? It was at 20%.
Right now, the way this is written, it is the 20% would begin this year. All right.
But it was written a different way to start with.
No, it's been drafted this way. What I had asked the committees to do was to just think about it over the last week. There are several ways to accomplish this. We could impose a graduated penalty beginning with a certain year to reach the 20% mark, or we could impose it all at once, or in year 3 or so, or a designated year, then you could go from 10 to the 20%.
Okay, but the way that it's written today is...
The way it's written is the tax would be imposed, or not the tax. It is a penalty for failure to pay your tax. It is not just an attorney fee. It is a penalty, and only 10% goes for the attorney. The other 20% would be for the prosecution of delinquent taxpayers, and there is some cost, as I said earlier, that Fred Sisk's office absorbs through that process.
Okay, Commissioner Jordan.
I just want to disclose that I have a family member that works for the trustees department.
Okay, we have any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And it's unanimous. Clerk? Okay, this is the one we added on for Public Works and Engineering Department.
Consideration of a resolution of the County Commission of Knox County, Tennessee, approving covenants for permanent maintenance of stormwater facilities by Hardin Valley Land Partners for property located on Hardin Valley Road.
I'd make a motion we approve. Do we have a second? Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. No, we have no no's. Okay, Clerk, I think we're on ordinances on first reading.
I'll take care of it. Consideration of an ordinance of the Commission of Knox County, Tennessee, repealing Article 1 in general, Section 10-1, Ordinance Number O-98-4-101, 2798, Article 2. Building Code Section 1031 and 10-32, Ordinance Number O-99-6-102, 72699, Article 4. Gas Code, Section 10-76, Article versus Housing Code, Section 10-91 and 10-92. Article 6, Mechanical Code, Section 10-106. Article 7, Plumbing Code, Section 10-136. Article 9, Swimming Pools, Division 2 Code, Section 10-216. Article 2, Fire Prevention Code, Section 30-31 and 30-32. And Article 3, Life Safety Code, Section 30-56 and 30-57. Ordinance number O-98-4-101 and 727-98, and adopting the 2006 International Building Code with amendments, the 2006 International Fuel Gas Code with amendments, 2006 International Property Maintenance Code with amendments, the 2006 International Mechanical Code with amendments, 2006 International Plumbing Code with amendments, 2006 International Fire Code with amendments, 2006 Life Safety Code with amendment, the 2006 International Code Council Performance Code of Buildings and Facilities with amendments, 2006 International Existing Building Code with amendments, and the 2006 International Energy Conservation Code with amendments.
Okay. Intergovernmental.
Intergovernmental voted 8 approvals and 1 abstention.
Okay. Finance Committee.
Finance 10-0, motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor say, Commissioner Ballard.
Yes, I had several people that work for the Oak Ridge Fire Department, and they asked me about the Life Safety Code, and they wanted to see that that's passed, and I think what that I'm looking at here is that's included in that. And that's the natural egress in event of emergency. Okay.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And it's unanimous. Clerk, we need to back up to 901. It wasn't listed in our packet. It's the one dealing with the Gay Street TIF. Read that into the record.
This is a resolution of the Commission of Knox County, Tennessee, approving a tax increment financing provision amendment to the Gay Street redevelopment and urban renewal plan.
Okay, intergovernmental.
Well, I'm trying to find 901 in our packet. I don't think it's in here.
Well, if you'll go down and look at your...
I do remember that it was, I believe it was sent on without a recommendation. I believe it passed unanimously.
Okay.
With no recommendation.
It was unanimous.
Okay, Finance Committee.
Finance, I believe, made a commitment to finance it 10-0 to vote for it. I believe we ought to defer this. We've been granting an awful lot of TIFs. We've been granting an awful lot of TIFs here in the city of Knoxville, which I want to help the city because we represent city people too. It bothers me to think that we're giving them these tax breaks to help them, and then they're coming out and annexing our businesses and things and taking our sales tax. And I think we just need to look at it. I think we need to talk about this a little bit. I'd like to defer it for 30 days.
Got a motion to defer, seconded by Commissioner Huddleston. Any more questions? Mr. Mayor, you want to respond to it or anything? All right. We got a motion to defer, and it's properly seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And it's unanimous. Okay, we're back on ordinances on first reading. 102 on page 16.
This is consideration of an ordinance to make unlawful the use of the Knox County solid waste and recycling centers by persons and vehicles whose license tags are not registered in Knox County.
Okay, intergovernmental.
Intergovernmental voted 9-0 to defer until April.
Finance Committee.
Make that in form of a motion to defer.
Do we have a second? Seconded by Commissioner Trammell. Commissioner Kate.
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. When they bring this back, I'd be interested in an explanation of how they're going to enforce it. I think that's the issue here.
Mr. Mayor?
I can answer that for Commissioner Kate right now. It's our intent at this time to hire off-duty Knox County Sheriff Department deputies to help us enforce it there at the gate. I do not think that our Knox County solid waste employees can adequately enforce it. I think it's putting them in a difficult situation.
You're going to use driver's license or
Ags.
How many people in Knox County buy cars at the airport motor mile?
Everyone that does is violating the law if they don't buy their tag here in Knox County.
Well, I mean, the dealers over there, you need to tell them.
That's if you want to talk about budgets by not paying the wheel tax, you're violating the law. It's as simple as that.
Mr. Chairman.
Mayor, when the wheel tax was passed, did we not first purchase was exempt from that if they bought it in Blount County? I'm just using Blount County. I thought that's the way.
I don't recall.
Passed, you know, if they.
I think it's the first year if you buy it because the dealers register it out of the county.
No.
I really think we need something different than the license plates along with it. You know, say you've got a child that lives in Blount County, then you use his truck to haul something up there. I think we need to, if they come in, we need to check their identification, their driver's license, be sure where they do live.
We'll come up with a plan. Maybe you won't even check the titles of the car and see what they belong to, but we'll work on something.
Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm for this. I just didn't realize. I mean, we need to notify those dealers on out highway because they're the ones that I bought cars there. They're the ones that send you the Blount County tags, unless that's changed.
If I were you, I'd be driving on Knox County tags, Commissioner.
Doing all we can.
My understanding is that you can request a Knox County tag if you buy over there.
You can.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
You have to request it.
Yeah, you have to request it. Well,
And if
you just don't get to dump your garbage on it.
And if they've got a Blount County tag and the sheriff's office is talking to them, they'll be presenting a driver's license. So there'll be some form of ID.
Okay. Commissioner Smith.
Mayor, would there be a way maybe that you could pilot this between now and then, maybe test a site or two and just do them at random so you can come back and maybe get us a little, you know, what you guys are thinking with it?
We are servicing a significant number of citizens from other counties. I can tell you that. If you want a hard statistical data, that's going to take us a while to get it. But one of our biggest challenges in managing costs right now is through our convenience centers. Every time Waste Management or Waste Connections raises rates, we're seeing more people come to our convenience centers. And as a result, it's gotten to be a real strain on us, particularly at high peak periods like Saturdays. This is a way that we can limit it to our citizens. Now, there are some other services that we will, look at serving anyone. If you have a sick child that comes into our health department and you live in another county, we're not going to send you home. However, if you want to bring your trash to Knox County and dump it, we've got to get a grip on that because the other communities don't have some of the same services that we offer.
Once you have the officers there and they sort of do it at random, the word's going to get out. And when they see the officers there, I guess going to take care of a lot of the problem there.
We hope so.
But we need, I agree with Mr. Pinkston here, we need to educate these other car dealers around here because car salesmen change quite a bit. We just need to keep re-educating those dealers.
Okay, we've got a lot of lights on, and this is going to be on our agenda next month for second reading. So, Commissioner Lambert.
Yeah, I just wanted to say this is a lot bigger problem than we realize. I spent a lot of time campaigning at the convenience center last summer. There were a lot of Anderson County tags going through the convenience center, and of course my district borders against Anderson County, and a lot of the folks from the Claxton area come over and dump their trash. What my worry is that if we don't let them dump the trash in the convenience center, are they going to dump the trash somewhere else in Knox County where it might not be welcome? And I'm wondering if maybe we could impose a fee for non-Knox County residents when they show up and charge them to, and that might also help offset the cost of law enforcement out there.
We can certainly take a look at that. That's an idea we hadn't considered, but we will and present it to you next month if that's okay, Commissioner. Good idea.
Okay, Commissioner Lupo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Own property in another county that one has a residence on, and hence we pay property tax there. And the main service we get is being able to take our trash there and take it to convenience center, which we did this last Saturday, and even though they did have a sign up, they did check ours. But when you're a taxpayer in a county, and that's a service, so this would be a little harder to do. But I guess if we had some means where people, in fact, own property in there, that might be a second home. If they're a taxpayer, and I think that's the goal, is whether they're a taxpayer here or not. The car tag is one way of sort of ascertaining that. But when we first established these convenience centers, we were having a lot of illegal dumping all over the county. And this was discussed at the time. Should we say it's just Knox County? It makes a lot of sense on the face of it. But if people are working here and bringing in, they're paying taxes here in one way or the other. So maybe a notion that if they own property here and can substantiate it, maybe once they prove that, they can get a permit that they don't have it on the car, but they can show that we own property here, therefore be allowed to dump. And if they're really living in another county and just coming over here just dump, those are the ones you want to turn away because they're not really helping us. Commissioner Lambert indicated that maybe a fee for it, I think, may work. It's just, well, if you're from out of the county and you don't own property here, here's a fee. I don't know what that fee should be, but say, yeah, you can go ahead and dump. Here's a fee. You can take your choice to either leaving or dumping it. So that would defer the cost and at the same time would not clutter up our highways. And that's one thing we don't want to do is clutter up our highways. And that's a cost too, because once you start those, that's an expensive proposition too.
It is, and we estimate that use of convenience centers has gone up roughly 100% since we first initiated the program. So it's more and more people every month. So the challenge is more and more every month.
Okay, Commissioner Pinkston.
I just want to say something real quick. We're going to have to do something. I've been here not quite 3 years, and I've had more calls when we talked about putting a fee on people, to our citizens, to dump there. So we've got to stop these people from out of our county doing this or do something on it. And with that said, I'd like to make a motion to have a 5-minute recess.
Who are you going to talk to?
Talk to you in the back room.
All right, let's finish this one up. Commissioner Lambert.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that when a person from out of town who owns property here, if they've got Alabama tags and they're dumping at the convenience center and they say, well, I have a vacation home here in Knoxville, then it's obvious they're paying property. Now, I fought the wheel tax. I was probably one of the biggest critics of the wheel tax, but the wheel tax passed. If a person is at our convenience center with an Anderson County tag or a Blount County tag, then most often what you've got is you have a person who lives in Knox County who is registering their car at a relative's home to avoid the wheel tax. And so that's where I could see them cutting them some slack if they're from far away where they may have a vacation home here. I'm sure like Mr. Luthold's situation. But I think if they're here with a Blount County tag or an Anderson County tag, they need to pay a fee to dump because they're either our neighbors or they're folks who are avoiding the tax.
Okay, Commissioner Kate.
Just one comment, and I don't know how we do this, but if there's some legal angle, then I really think you ought to write all the car dealers that border Knox County and just tell them that they have to come get Knox County tagged. And I'd be willing to bet that that'll take care of a lot of it.
We will certainly look at that and do that.
Okay. Any more discussion?
What are we voting on? You had mentioned earlier that we're deferring the whole thing. We're not voting on first reading. Okay.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor to defer till April, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And it's unanimous. Commissioner Pinkston, did you want a 5-minute recess?
We're almost through the meeting. Let's get done. We've got zonings at 4 o'clock.
Okay, next item.
This is consideration of an ordinance to adopt the stormwater management ordinance.
Intergovernmental?
Voted 9-0 to defer till April.
Intergovernmental?
Finance.
I'll make a motion to defer to April.
I second.
Seconded by Commissioner Lambert. Discussion. Commissioner Norman?
No.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Next item.
104 is amending Article 3 of the Knox County Procurement Code as previously adopted by Ordinance 05-4-101 on May the 23rd, 05.
Okay, the Procurement Committee?
Procurement voted 5-0 to approve. Make a motion to approve.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It's unanimous. Ordinances on second reading.
Ordinance 102 is to approve regulations for flood damage prevention.
Okay, let me. Oh, Bruce, you want to go ahead? That's fine. I think they had the wrong packet. There was a couple of different changes that were in our packet to what they handed us at lunch. So that being the case, let's pass this on first reading. That way next month we'll have second reading to give everybody an opportunity to look at it and to discuss it. So, did somebody make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve on first reading.
I'll second. Okay, any discussion? Commissioner Mark Harmon.
Yes, I have had a chance only to skim this one, but we went through the first draft of this. The first draft had significant merit to it. We made some modest changes to it that improved it. I prefer the first draft of this, and I would offer a substitute motion that we approve on second reading the same thing on first reading last meeting.
Okay, do we have a second to Mark Harmon?
Second.
Okay, any discussion now? We're moving to discussion to the substitute motion.
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Lutho.
Could you indicate what those differences are? You're asking quite a bit to prove something, modification of first reading to your motion is to finalize this on second reading, so if somebody could enlighten us as to what those differences are.
Well, if I could call to the microphone Jamie Rose. She has been a diligent student of some of the differences in these floodwater ordinances, and she could explain some of the differences between the previous version and this version.
You give your name and address for the record, please.
Jamie Rowe, 4215 Tazewell Pike. Last month, the Commission did pass on first reading the flood damage prevention ordinance, and I asked at that time that the base flood be retained as the 500 year rather than changing it, which was in the 94 ordinance. At Intergovernmental and Finance this past Monday, both committees agreed to amend the document to define it in that way. Now a brand new document is being introduced to you. In fact, for whatever reason, you didn't even receive a copy of this document till I called it to the attention of Mr. Vandevate, and you then got a copy of this at lunchtime, 2 hours before the meeting. I've outlined some major differences between the new one that you've just been handed. I apologize, I don't have enough copies for everybody. You'll have to share. I'd just like to point out some of the major comparisons on the list that I made. In the first column, you have the 94 ordinance. And the only difference between it and what you passed on first reading was the date for the FEMA maps, the base flood definition, the floodway definition, and one paragraph. So you all amended it last week to leave the base flood at 500 years. So this is basically the document that you all passed. Second column is the City 83 ordinance. But please keep in mind that the city, besides this flood damage prevention ordinance, has supporting documents in policies and their land development manual, so that whatever is the strictest thing they have on record is the regulation that they work with. So they have other regulations that supersede this. In the third column, you have the county version of that 83 ordinance, but there's significant changes made in it. The second, after the first underline where it says definitions, page 3 and page 4 and page 3, reading across, the area of special flood hazard. in the 94 ordinance and in the ordinance that you all passed on first reading, it is defined as the land in the floodplain within Knox County subject to a 0.2% chance of being equaled or exceeded in a given year, which is the 500 year. In the cities as well as the one that the county is now asking for, the area of special flood hazard is the land in the floodplain within a community subject to a 1% or greater chance, the 100-year flood. And then if I can turn your attention to the top of page 2, the location of the flood fringe limits and floodways shall be shown on all subdivision proposals, regardless of size. But yet, in the version that the county now wants to pass, the base flood elevation data shall be provided for subdivision proposals that are greater than 50 lots and or 5 acres. And then at the bottom of the page, prohibit encroachments. Encroachments shall not result in any increase in flood levels during occurrence of the 500-year flood discharge and no increase in floodway widths. Yet the county in this new document is saying no encroachments unless the cumulative effect will not increase the water surface level of the base flood more than 1 foot at any point. On the next page, that entire section is not in the 94 ordinance. In the cities, you'll notice that number 2, that has some very specific and higher regulations, has been omitted from the version that the county wants to pass. And the difference in that being in A, under the county, under the city's ordinance, it says the lowest floor, if no depth level is specified, the lowest floor, including basement, shall be elevated to at least 2 feet above the highest adjacent grade. Number 3 in the county version says the engineering department shall certify the elevation of the highest adjacent grade. On the next page, prohibit encroachments again with the 500-year flood discharge and no increase in flood widths. The city says located within designated floodways. The county version says within regulatory floodway, which is a FEMA definition or word that they use, meaning the 100-year flood. That's a huge difference. At the bottom of the page, no encroachment shall be located within a distance of the stream bank equal to 5 times the width of the stream at the top of the bank, or 20 from each side, whichever is greater. And the one in the county says no encroachment shall be located within an area equal to the width of the stream or 20 feet. That's huge.
Jamie, could I interrupt just a second?
Yes.
I've been involved in stormwater and freshwater issues for a large portion of my academic career. When I start thinking about these provisions of this ordinance, I get glassy-eyed real quick. There seems to me to be a need for a dramatic need for some kind of overriding principle to work on, such as, and maybe some of our folks in MPC could speak to this. I know they're heading in that direction, or they've considered these concepts, and that is something like a master watershed plan or some kind of comprehensive watershed plan that deals with flooding and stormwater issues. It seems to me we get into the minutia of these ordinances and I just get lost. I mean, I just absolutely get lost, and I'm very interested in trying to support as many things as we can for this county to enhance water quality, which I think enhances the standard of living for the average citizen in Knox County. But I am just getting lost in this, in the details. So help, I'm casting out a line to Mr. Donaldson or Buzz or somebody to come and help.
I just have a couple more paragraphs I'd like to say to you, too. When you pass a weekly ordinance with regarding flooding, prevention, and damage, essentially you are shifting a financial burden to the county, the taxpayers. We're the ones who will be called on to make massive improvements to relieve flooding because of what has been allowed. Taxpayers should not pay the price by passing a document that you have not had time to diligently study. I respectfully ask that you consider voting for the second reading on the document that you passed on first reading last month with the amendment that you approved at your intergovernmental and finance meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. I've just got a quick comment. I guess, you know, we hire professionals in Knox County government to address these issues, and like Chris Grandjew, and I think Chris does a great job. And that's who we have to rely on a lot of times, because when we get into trouble, I mean, that's who we go to. I mean, that's why we hire professionals. So, you know, I say sometimes we have to rely on the professionals that get hired in Knox County. And like I said, I have great respect for them. So that's all I have. I guess, Commissioner Norman.
Mark, could you come and speak? And again, just to restate what I just said, is your office involved in a type of watershed review process or land use relative to watershed in some kind of comprehensive fashion?
We are, to the extent that we review concept plans as they come through the process, through the subdivision regulation process. But doing sector plans on the basis of watersheds is a concept that we want to continue to pursue. That's a lot different than dealing with the ordinance that you're dealing with here today. The ordinance that you have today is very technical, and it has to be technical. It's filled with definitions. But at a more global scale, we do want to begin doing our land use plans with respect to the watersheds that exist in the county and to build into them the sort of green infrastructure planning that we've been doing in the Beaver Creek watershed as a way to address water quality and water quantity issues there. So I think that's a pretty good model that we foresee taking to other portions of the county. Apples and oranges to a certain degree. This ordinance is very technical. It has to be. The land use planning is a little more global, and we need to begin to think of the county as broken up into watersheds and deal with those watersheds in a comprehensive way and try to build in the green infrastructure that makes them sustainable.
Commissioner Lutho.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bruce or Chris, the differences that Jamie Rose pointed out between this and the one that was approved last week with the amendment at intergovernmental, which you agreed to, you agreed to those changes at that point. What are the major differences, and why did you feel like you needed to change it?
We were attempting to mirror more of the city's ordinance. There are some typographical errors in the draft version you have. That's why we're only asking you to approve it on first reading. However, if you want to revert back to your action that you took a month ago and approve the ordinance that's in your packet on second reading, we have no objection to that either.
So you don't have a problem with,
sir,
with Mr. Harmon or Commissioner Mark Harmon's motion?
I think what you got in your packet, the big book, was incorrect. So we didn't want you to think you were voting on something that was given to you in error that was not correct. either what Ms. Rowe proposed. We think the new one in our mind, minus the typos, is probably more stringent, but if she likes that one, it doesn't give us great heartburn either if you want to go ahead and pass it. But I think Chairman Moore made a good point. We lean heavily on our professionals. I've got confidence in Mr. Wietrich and Mr. Granju, and so I think that if you want to pass the original one, that's fine. We just tried to make it more clear. So,
well, and that's what I want to do. I'm just wondering, what are those differences? What do they mean? Because I want to make sure that what we pass is what we need and is correct, and we can enforce it and go on.
In our mind, either would be okay. We were trying to make some improvements, but if I don't know there's that much difference between them, in my opinion, but that's not as good as their opinion, but they're telling me the same thing, and I'm relying on them much like the chairman does.
So. Commissioner Kate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I agree with you. I think there's obviously some reasons that Mr. Granju and Mr. Wietrich have brought this new document to us. And I would suggest that we pass this on first reading, and then we can debate the changes next month.
Okay. No, Commissioner Ivan Harmon.
I guess I just want to make sure that Bruce understands that we are going to have workshops throughout the county. Is that true, Bruce? Can you tell me what the schedule is?
We haven't established a schedule for the stormwater workshops as of yet. We are waiting for the latest. They are indicating that they're going to schedule a workshop for the comparison of the two ordinances. I believe that's April the 12th. I want to make sure that gets scheduled before we schedule our workshops, because I would like for that comparison workshop to take place first, and then the county workshops that we're going to take in various parts of the county second. One thing I do need to point out that is extremely important is that we have a May 5th deadline to adopt this flood damage prevention resolution. Certainly taking this to the April Commission meeting will keep us within that time frame, but this isn't something we can drag out. We have got to have this thing, that flood damage prevention ordinance, adopted by May, I believe it's May the 2nd.
Is Arcadis on schedule? You think they'll...
The preliminary email, I got an email that they've hammered out April the 12th as the date that they would like to have that. However, I believe they're wanting to have a joint meeting of City Council and County Commission, so I don't think they've confirmed the availability of a location, that sort of thing. So they're working out the details. But April the 12th was the date that was thrown out there. Here again, I'm just waiting for them to finalize those details before we schedule our workshops, because I'd like to do them after this Arcadis report, because essentially that'll be additional information out there on the stormwater ordinance.
Okay, Commissioner Frank Lutho.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jenny, would you come to the mic again? I get the more I hear, the more confused I get in terms of some of the answers. You seem to have indicated that the two versions from last month to this month are somewhat different, and you've read some of those differences.
They're not somewhat different. They're completely different.
Okay. I'll take your version of that. They seem to indicate that we could approve what we approved last month on second reading and be okay with them.
And to me.
And it'd be okay with you. But the question is, I have a hard time, I guess, comprehending their comments that either one's okay if they are substantially different.
Well,
and that, if they're substantially different, then we need to look at it. If they're not substantially different, then we need to take one that has the typos out and not leave the typos in, type of thing. So I'm at loss as to, and I just wonder whether Chris could, I know the mayor has, I just wonder whether Chris could address some of those or not, because I'm hearing different things, and I like to be clear what it is that we're voting on before I vote.
Well, I think a lot of the can you hear me better?
Yeah, you give your name too, just so we'll know who it is.
Chris Granju with Engineering Public Works, Stormwater. A lot of these differences are the version that you got today. It was supposed to be in the packet.
is, as other folks said, it's the city's ordinance with some very minor changes to basically say Knox County, and to change the dates. It's really the call for changing this ordinance in the first place to reference the May 2nd, 2007 flood maps. A lot of these situations that Ms. Rowe pointed out are situations that simply don't exist in Knox County, situations where there's only partial flood mapping available. Over the last 10 years, we've done extensive flood mapping and updates to flood maps in Knox County, and the situations that are addressed there just don't exist in Knox County. So functionally speaking, these ordinances have the same effect. They have no bearing on the key elements of compliance with the flood insurance program and development regulations. And also, as a matter of point, the stormwater management ordinance that will be before commission hopefully in the next month or so also would spell out the requirements for site planning with respect to floodplain issues.
Chris, which ordinance do you favor?
Well, I'd have to say either one. Really, either one is legally suitable, technically suitable. It's certainly simpler to pass an ordinance on second reading today and get one thing off everybody's plate. We feel that's certainly adequate to meet the needs of flood insurance compliance in Knox County, and that's the bottom line of why we're here in the first place.
So, which one, if you were sitting on this body, which one would you support? Otherwise, I don't know why you all gave us the second one. Do you support the revised version of it, or?
We'd support the revised version.
And the mayor, do you support? You think the second one's better? Okay, Commissioner Lambert.
I just don't think that we need to pass anything on a second reading today at 4 o'clock when we have a workshop on this at 6 o'clock.
No, we don't have a workshop on this.
We don't have a workshop on this?
No, we have on the stormwater ordinance.
On the stormwater ordinance, that won't give any more clarity to
just for flood damage in Knox County.
I was thinking we may get more information this evening on that.
Okay. We've got a couple more lights on. Commissioner Norman.
Chris, what happens if we don't pass this today? I mean, insurance-wise, what do we face in terms of insurance?
We have to have this passed basically by May, so it could pass at the next month's commission meeting. But we really have to have these issues hammered out to be able to be passed and everybody be comfortable by the April commission meeting.
Okay, what does it mean for people that are trying to get flood insurance? I mean, there's just no coverage.
It has no bearing today. The flood maps become effective May 2nd, 2007. So our ordinance needs to reflect, basically we have to have a legislative recognition and approval of the new flood maps by the time their effective date passes.
Okay. Commissioner Mark Harmon.
Thank you. I give as much deference as I can to expertise, but I also give great credence to my own eyes. And I've read through these changes, and there are changes. And I'm pleased that you would be willing to accept either one. I think the one that we passed, that we amended to indicate the 500-year floodplain where we so indicated, is the preferable one than to introducing a new one and having to wait until April. We liked the first. We amended the first one slightly. We approved in committee. So I would hope that we would, at this moment, follow through on the one we passed last month, consider this a second reading, and pass it and have it done that way.
Okay. Any more discussion? I'm gonna support the revised version because of Chris Granju and County Mayor Mike Ragsdale are in support of the revised version, and I think we need to rely on our professional staff. So that would be on first reading. Oh yeah, we got to vote on the substitute motion.
Substitute motion is on the floor first.
So the substitute motion is to accept the one that we approved last month.
As amended in committee and pass on second reading.
Pass on second reading. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. No. Chair rules that it fails.
Roll call.
Okay, roll call starting in the 1st District.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Pass.
Commissioner Mark Harmon,
For the substitute.
Commissioner Bolus,
Pass.
Commissioner Norman,
Yes.
Commissioner Ivan Harmon, Commissioner Kate,
No.
Commissioner Trammell, Commissioner Hammond, Commissioner Lithode,
No.
Commissioner Frank Lithode, Commissioner Kaywood, Commissioner Lambert, Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Moore,
No.
Commissioner Ballard,
No.
Commissioner Huddleston, Commissioner Green,
No.
Commissioner Pinkston.
Does the pass wish to vote?
No.
Commissioner Strickland, no.
No.
Oh, you don't want to pass.
I wish to vote, and I vote no. Let me clarify. I vote no.
Commissioner Bolus votes no. Okay, the vote is 5 ayes, 13 noes, and 1 pass. So we're back on the original motion to approve this on first reading. Commissioner Lutho.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to encourage administration and maybe Jamie and her folks to see what differences she's talking about and see if those can be ironed out before next month.
We will be pleased to do that, Commissioner.
Okay, any discussion? Commissioner Kate.
Mr. Chairman, I've got a couple of things I'd like to point out in here. I don't know if this is the time to do it or later. There's a couple of things that need, I think one of them's a typo.
I think Bruce knows the typos.
Well, page 15, item 6 says City Board of Zoning Appeals. I think that should be county. And page 11, section 11, each day such violation continues shall be considered a separate offense. If we could make that may be considered a separate offense up to the director's discretion or some language like that. If you've got a 3-day problem and it pours down rain the 3rd day, you probably shouldn't be fined if you're out there trying to fix it. Comment.
Okay, we're on a public forum right now.
We haven't voted yet.
Call for the question.
Original motion, and it's been properly seconded. Any discussion on it?
I'll call for the question.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
Commissioner Mark Harmon votes no. Any other no's? And Tony Norman. Commissioner Norman. 17 ayes, 2 no's. Motion passes on first reading. We're on public forum. I want to start off first by getting the law director to give us a time chart for forming a metropolitan government.
All right, you each should have received a little chart that my office has prepared, if I can find mine. And basically it's a timeline for establishing a metropolitan form of government. Several other things I'd like to note. First of all, to establish a metropolitan form of government, you look to TCA Section 7-2-101 et sec. There is a recommendation within the statute that the local government consider basically an exploratory committee for the community to discuss whether consolidation is something that ought to be pursued. The committee, this community committee could establish, the exploratory committee could establish whether there's sufficient support for the formation of a charter commission. They could also have public meetings, obtain citizen input,
and determine the possible benefits of consolidated government. We've been through this a couple of times in Knox County's history. I don't know that the last time we went through the unified government effort, this is a metropolitan consolidation consideration. To establish a charter commission, it can be created by adoption of a resolution by the county and the county's principal city, which here is the city of Knoxville. The resolution by this body would state that a Metropolitan Government Charter Commission is established to propose the consolidation of all or substantially all of the government or corporate functions of the county and its principal city, and the creation of a metropolitan government for the administration of the consolidated functions. Resolutions must state whether the members of the Charter Commission will be chosen by the county and the city mayors, confirmed by their respective governing bodies, or whether the Charter Commission will be elected by a county-wide at-large election. So there are several ways to establish the Charter Commission when you're dealing with a metropolitan government. If members are chosen by the county and city mayors, the statute authorizes the county mayor to appoint 10 commissioners, subject to confirmation by this body, authorizes the mayor of the city of Knoxville to appoint 5 commissioners, subject to the confirmation by the city governing body. The appointments shall be made within 30 days after adoption of the resolution by the last governing body to do so. And if the members are chosen by a county-wide at-large election, the election shall take place no less than 46 days nor more than 60 days after the adoption of the resolution. So there would be a special called election for that purpose. And the County Election Commission would hold such election. The cost of this process is borne by the county. And it's anywhere between $25,000 and $50,000 the statute so allows. The Charter Commission shall be representative of all of the areas of the county and the city of Knoxville, and every effort shall be made to ensure that representatives of various political, social, and economic groups with the county and the municipality are members of the Commission. Just a couple of other notes of interest. The members of the Charter Commission must hold an organizational meeting at the county courthouse at 10 a.m. on the 5th day following their election or appointment. The process, once that commission is established and they have their initial meeting, has to be completed within 9 months of its initial meeting. They file the proposed charter, and within, see how many days it is, within no less than 80 days, no more than 100 days after the proposed charter is filed, there will be a special referendum election on the question of consolidation. The establishment of the metro government does not change zoning regulations effective in the city or the county until they are changed by the Metropolitan Council. I've given you just a chart that outlines some of those provisions. I'd be glad to try to answer any questions if you have any, but that just kind of lays out the process for a metropolitan government. We have one in this state, and that is Nashville, Davidson County. They have been a metro government for a number of years. The statute was actually, I believe, passed, initially passed, I wanted to say, way back in the 50s. Actually, it was 1957 when the Metropolitan Government enabling statute was passed first by the state legislature. It's been amended several times since. But it basically provides that there will be the taxes are structured the same as they would be now for city and county. The county charter, well, the metropolitan charter would have to recognize that, and there are a number of provisions that would have to be included in the new charter, and the Charter Commission would have to address what to call the new government. It would have to address the creation of the legislative body, its powers, organizational and operational procedures. What's the size of it? In Davidson County, I believe they have up to 40 or so members on their legislative body. You would establish legislative districts and determine and set the qualifications for the members. Establish the position of a top executive or administrative officer. Set the requirements of that position. And there are a number of other considerations too. One thing that we wouldn't have to work on much here is that you have to provide for the consolidation of school systems. And that's pretty much already taken place by the fact that the city went out of the school business in 1987.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Owens. I brought this up today only for discussion to give the commissioners a chance to talk to your constituents to see down the road if this is something that we need to move forward on. At some point in time, our community is going to have tax increases unless we find efficient ways to run government. And I think now is the time to start the discussion, and hopefully this commission will agree. And I think the mayor is always looking for efficiencies in government. I won't speak for him. But a lot of people in the community is talking about it, just nobody's been doing anything about it. So I think in the next month next month's going to be a short month, though, moving the commission up a week. It may need to be on next month to start the ball rolling. But with that, Commissioner Trammell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've voted on this time and time again. It seems to say that it always fails. But I think if you truly look at eliminating the duplication of services, if you truly look at streamlining your government, I mean, our county government's not set up to be efficient. It's set up for checks and balances and power. But I think if you eliminate the duplication of services, and the chairman mentioned the schools are already done, the hard part, it seems, is already done. We've got the police agency, and with the pension that just passed, it almost mirrors the cities. It's not quite, but there's not a whole lot of differences. That'll be a hurdle. You're going to have one elected sheriff, or you're going to appoint the chief of police and have a sheriff be a keeper of the jails, the way it is in Davidson County. That's not an elimination of duplication of services. Things like that could cause this thing to fail again, but if it's done right, I think it'll be great for Knox County. Speaking with one voice, trying to recruit business and industry, sustainable growth, good jobs, I think it would be very advantageous for this community to look at one form of government if it's done right. Yeah, I don't think people's going to vote for it if they have to get their right to vote for someone.
Commissioner Hammond.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I've gone through 3 of these votes with regards to metropolitan government, and a couple of things that I have learned as we've gone through these votes is, first of all, there are some questions that our citizens ask when we have this issue come up. And by the way, there are a few issues in Knox County that will give people more passionate statements and remarks than when you mention metro government. The first one is bigger government better government? And if it is, how is it better? Just simply saying that it will be better, our people are not going to buy that. We have to show them. We have to show them how the police department is going to work. How are you going to combine those two bodies? Who's going to be in charge of what? You get into the fire department. You get into utilities. You get into general government. And that's just a few things. So I would encourage us as we embark upon this is that we look at it very carefully, that we look at it very methodically. Because one of the things that people look at, and gosh, for those of us who've been here a while, we can remember Kaz Walker buying time on TV to speak against metro government back in the 70s. But people are very leery of the fact that special interests are behind this, quote, metro government. I think that we need to show them very clearly that this is from the people, and we're going to do what the citizens want. This will affect over 400,000 people. The other thing that I think people are leery of is that when we talk about metro government, and this has come out of the last couple of votes that I recall, people seem to feel like that we've taken the Davidson County Charter, that we've marked out the word Davidson, and we've put in Knox. We're a very unique community, and we have very unique needs, and we just have a very unique way of doing things. And I think that we need to address that. And yes, we can look at other charters as a guide, but if the citizens feel like that we're just going to mirror Davidson County, I don't know that they're going to buy that. So I guess my bottom line is that I support the idea of talking about it and dialogue. I definitely want to talk to constituents, but I would encourage us to move carefully and methodically. Otherwise, we can see this going down the road that the other three efforts have gone down if we're not careful and if we're not smart in how we do this.
Thank you, Commissioner Hammond. Commissioner Luto.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Although I don't live inside the town of Farragut, I do represent the folks that do, and I think it would be very important that we, if this were to move forward, that we include the town of Farragut so that they will have a voice in that charter, and whether or not they would want to participate in that or continue on with their own town and have their concerns voiced as well.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Luto.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I served as a county representative under the unification charter provision, not the metro one. You have to remember that provision was passed into law basically for Knox County because they didn't find the metropolitan one sufficient. So that was the general state law. That's the one we attempted last time. But my main comment here is that the time limits, once you start this clock and moving, you think that 9 months or so, and I think that's about the same on the unification one too, is a long time. In fact, it was a very short time. And the thing is, there's many things that can kill this. There's not too many things that will pass it. What you need to do is to remove as much as possible those things that are killers of this provision. And the main one that I see that are killer is the putting together of the employee bodies and how that can be worked out. Therefore, I think it's important for the executive parts of government of Knoxville and Knox County to outline before we start the process how you go about merging these so that you don't have employees groups out there saying, kill this thing, because they, in fact, will kill it. And what amounts to those things need to be worked out, and they're not easily worked out. Once you get over that and know how to merge those things, including the pension system, and the pension system last time was addressed because I addressed it for several months on this, and we took people that were poles apart on this and came to an agreement. The Charter Commission says we don't understand it, and I says, look at it this way. You have parties that are this far apart, and where they come from, and they used all their expertise, their actuaries, their attorneys, and everywhere, and they finally come to an agreement and says this will work. The process says it will work here. So there's many things that ought to be addressed first to get some clarification, and then you appoint a charter commission to answer some of those questions that people can readily understand. Okay, whether we keep the top cop issue, people can understand that. But the merging together of different departments require more time and effort, and if we're serious about it, we will have that exploratory committee made up to try to iron these things out. It may take a year or so to do that. Once they get those things ironed out, that's the time to appoint your charter commission to take those. In a few months, you think it's a long time. It was very, very short time because we were rushing at the end to complete that. And there was very little time at the end to really deal with the public, because once this goes away, the Charter Commission is out of it. There's only a few days, a couple of months before you vote. There needs to be efforts to go out and tell the community what this does and what it doesn't do. And it's a tremendous sales job, and I don't mean that negative. I mean that very positive, that you have to go out and you have to be able to address those questions that the citizens will come up. What's this going to do? Well, some things you can tell them, and some things are looking into the future, where it's going to go. The whole thing of efficiency was discussed at length. The notion of where this would save money, where there's duplication, was discussed. I know we hired an outside firm to come in and study it, and while we hired a good firm, they didn't know anything about this community. And it took them a while to learn about it, and they used up most of their time just trying to learn the nuts and bolts about it before they could even come in and analyze it. So that one needs to be done early, not late. We need to be looking at that steady from the get-go not 3 months before we're going to vote. We need to look at, a year or so before we're going to vote to look at where the economies would come from so that we have a report which the citizens of Knox County could rely on as to what is the effect of this. So this shouldn't be entered into lightly, because the worst thing you want to do is go through and spend a lot of your time and effort like I did and have it go down. I mean, that's no way you want to spend your time and effort, because you can put another 10 years before it'll come up again. Basically, it's been about 10 years, and that's about every time. Commissioner Hammond, been through 3 of them, yes. Yes, there is some sparring, and you will have that. But it can be done, but there's a lot of legwork that needs to be done first before we vote on the Charter Commission. That should be after we've ironed it out. Then we appoint a Charter Commission of members, because they have definite deadlines. They have to draft a document, but the agreement should come early, not during that process.
Commissioner Lutho, that's some great ideas. And, I think as we look at this and move forward, I think if we put it out far enough, like taking effect 2014, then you've got both sides of government that can start reducing the number of employees, and people have enough time to decide, how a body's going to come together. So I think instead of rushing it, whenever we can get this thing going, if you put it out 4 or 5 years, it gives people a little ease to work into this.
I don't know if it takes that long, but it takes longer than a year, let's put it that way.
Commissioner Lambert.
I just want to say I'm very skeptical of metro government. I haven't seen a metro government plan yet that I've liked. Often it's been a consolidation of power rather than a consolidation of services. I would not support any form of metro government that terminated an elected official and replaced them with an appointed official. I think that Knoxville City and Knox County are really headed down a good path right now at partnering together. We're getting our codes together. We're really working well together. And what I don't want to see is I don't want to see talk of metro government to disrupt that. I think that there's certain things that as a separate sovereign city and separate sovereign county government that we can work together on, and then there's some things that we can keep separate. And I'm just not sure if this is the best way to go. I will be following these discussions pretty closely. Again, in theory, I'm not against consolidating services, but I just don't want to see this turn into a consolidation of power.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Lambert. Okay, we'll move on. Clerk, we have
Teresa Soggins, Knoxville Children's Choir.
Good afternoon. Let me first start by thanking you for putting us on the agenda today. This is a very special day. Jessica, turn the other way. Come this way, guys. Come this way and face it. Okay, let me try again. The Knoxville Children's Choir has served over 300 young musicians, first grade and up, for the past 10 years. We provide an exciting, nourishing, and creative environment for children to develop into self-confident, responsible, and disciplined performers and appreciator of all the arts. The skills they learn as Knoxville Children's Choir positively affect every area of their lives. The Knoxville Children's Choir has been an unofficial ambassador for the city of Knoxville on our trips to New York, Boston, Chicago, Orlando, Williamsburg, and even internationally to the Bahamas. We perform regularly with the Knoxville Symphony Orchestra, the Knoxville Opera Company, the Appalachian Ballet, as well as for charitable events for Children's Hospital, Race for the Cure, Knox County Library's Summer Reading Festival, and the Tennessee Conference Community Development. We would be very happy if you would consider making us an official Knoxville ambassador. We would also like to take this opportunity to invite you to our 10-year celebration, scholarship fundraiser dinner, and concert on May 11th to be held at the UT Music Hall. We would be truly grateful if you attended this very special night, and we promise an uplifting and exciting evening, and we will send you more information about it as we get closer. The group that you see before you is our ensemble. They are made up of children 5th grade and up. They are our advanced singers, and they're going to sing Joyful, Joyful from Sister Act 2. And our soloist today is Camera Foster.
Could Mayor Ragsdale join you in joining your singing and dancing? He looks like he's ready to go.
I think we may have some American Idols in there. Thank you all for coming out.
Can they come back next month?
That's good stuff.
Back and do a whole show.
Okay, clerk.
Treva Castleberry, Adrian Burnett, PTSO.
Good afternoon. My name is Treva Castleberry. My husband Steve and I have lived in the Halls community for 31 years. We've raised our children there. We own a business there. And I'm here today out of concern mainly as a grandparent. And I'm going to refer to my notes so I don't forget to tell you a thing. I really appreciate the fact that I'm here. It's the first time I've ever been here. So that tells you I'm kind of stepping out of my comfort zone, but I'm doing it on behalf of my grandchild and the children that I represent from Adrian Burnett and from all of Knox County. When Adrian Burnett was a 4-year-old school, my son Chris entered there as a second grader. 3 years later, our daughter Nicole started kindergarten and went through 5th grade there. And back then, I knew a lot about the school because I spent a lot of time there, but that was the 70s and 80s. Now, I'm spending time there as a grandparent. It's the same school, the same structure, the same building. In 1975, Adrian Burnett was designed and built to accommodate a student body of 500 students. Ladies and gentlemen, that was 32 years ago. The concern I share today is for my granddaughter, as I said, but Rayanna is in kindergarten there now. She is one of over 600 students. This temporary structure that she was in was to last for 15 years and accommodate a maximum of 500 students. So we do have a problem just in that. Last year, according to Knox County school report cards, Adrian Burnett had more students enrolled than did Cedar Bluff Primary School. Cedar Bluff has just broken ground for their new school. In 1992, Adrian Burnett was placed on a 5-year plan for a new school. The 5-year plan somehow has now become 15 years and counting. Deteriorating conditions within the school in 1992, rather than the overcrowding we currently have, back then it put it on the 5-year plan. Many of those same conditions still exist today. A good example is there are drain pipes that run through the classroom, and during heavy rains, the sound of the rain coming through those pipes disrupt class and divert the children's attention from where it should be. However, growth has created a lack of classroom space. The solution has been for all these years portable buildings. They have helped to ease overcrowding. But in severe weather, those students that are out there in those portable buildings are brought into the main structure, and that in itself creates even more problems. There's a safety issue. Along with the lack of adequate space for our students, you can imagine that develops other issues as well. From that overcrowding, we also have an inadequate amount of bathroom facilities, for an example, for students, teachers, staff, and volunteers. Adrian Burnett currently averages about 60 adults within the school per each day. They only have 2 bathrooms to share. But then consider this. There are over 600 students there on most every given day, and they have 2 bathrooms for the girls and 2 bathrooms for the boys. Try to imagine that, 600 kids sharing. It takes a long time to think about that. I hope you take that time. As you can imagine, this alone creates daily problems. Our community is currently growing at a rate that surpasses that of Farragut and Hardin Valley communities. We have new developments in our communities that are going, in hours alone, Lowe's is coming. We hear Home Depot's coming. If that happens, the student body of our school is going to increase. It's a given. We're going to have new families coming. With that, it's going to make the situation even more desperate because our school is so overcrowded now. Where are we going to put these children? We do a much better job if we could do a much better job if we kept up with the current growth and the future growth of these communities for our projections for our school system. Somehow we're not meeting that need. The children in every community in Knox County deserve the very best in both educational opportunity and in the environment in which they receive that. They are dependent upon the Knox County Commission, the Knox County School Board, and the Knox County residents. They want a safe and adequate school to thrive in. This is why I'm here today. I am asking you to consider and acknowledge that Adrian Burnett School needs to be put back on some planning board soon. Not next year, not next 2 years, but very soon, because we're outgrowing it. Our kids deserve better from us. Let's work together to ensure that that happens. I want to make my closing statement with this. At Adrian Burnett, the students say each day a mission statement for that school. This is the mission statement. Adrian Burnett is a safe place where we learn every day how to succeed and be the very best we can be. I ask you, each of you, to take those words to heart. Let's be the best we can be by showing our students by the example we set that this mission statement is true. Today I ask that you not allow one more year to go by without placing Adrian Burnett back on a system where they can have a new school built. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. You also have some people with you, Kathy Dugan, the principal at Adrian Burnett, if you all want to stand up. And we appreciate you coming. It is a sad situation that any community has a school like Adrian Burnett, and it's time that we address those issues. And I can tell you that me and Commissioner Smith, along with the county mayor, I think we all agree that we need one. We've got to work on it, so you can count on us to try to help you all. Commissioner Smith.
Ms. Castleberry, thank you for your professionalism, the way your presentation that you did, and to our principal. I mean, this is the second time that we've heard somebody. Mayor, did you hear what she had to say?
I feel like I've gone back to 1998, but it's sort of fun sitting up here. And thanks for tolerating me while I watched the choir. Yes, I did, and I've mentioned a couple of things. I think by and large the committee that looked at schools did a nice job. I've also made the point that I thought that one area that they may have missed, it might be Adrian Burnett. And I've asked the PBA to go back and look at that, and they are going to and get with that. Now, I do think in the case of Cedar Bluff Primary, you have to look at the primary and intermediate school to look at the growth, not just the primary school, because you have several schools right there on that same campus. But we are fortunate in that we already have land for a new Adrian Burnett set aside that you could go to, so that's some of the other cases. I visited Adrian Burnett last year, and I was taken back by the number of temporary buildings that it had, and also the lack of the gymnasium what was there. I was very impressed, I must say, with the quality of the faculty, the children, and also the involvement of the parents in that community. So there's some really good things going on there, but we need to do as well as we can with physical facilities to make that work as well. And Mr. Chairman, I apologize for taking somebody's chair up here.
That's fine, Mr. Mayor.
And Ms. Castleberry, I'm assuming you're taking this same message to the school board too, and letting Rex Stooksbury and the rest of them. Yeah.
Now, could I add one other point on her comment?
Yes.
You said if it would help, you could take it to Washington. I don't know that will help, but I'll tell you something that would, and that's taking it to Nashville. Right now, Knox County school children receive $800 per child less than the state average. Multiply that times 53,000 school kids, that's $40 million. We're not asking for anyone else's money. We're asking for more of our own money back. If we could even get to half of the state average per child, and that's something the General Assembly and the governor can help us with, it makes that school go from something that's needed that you may not be able to get to something that's very doable very quickly. So a lot of people have done some studies on BEP recently, or lots of information's gone out, but I can tell you that is the single biggest thing we need to do to improve the quality of education across Knox County, get some of our own money back from the state. No one else's money. Send Knox Countyans' money back to Knox County. And a good one.
Thank you for coming. Okay, clerk.
Henry Davis.
Give your name and address for the record. And you have up to 5 minutes.
Hello, my name is Henry Davis. I live at 8911 Fox Lonis. That's in West Knoxville. Pleased to be here. Hello, everyone. I'm here today to talk about the unsolved murder of Jonna Berry. On December the 6th, 2004, Jonna Berry was murdered. Why remains a mystery, as well as who killed her. The Sheriff's Department has taken over 200 samples for DNA testing at last count. The TBI Crime Lab is coming to an end of those DNA samples with no match so far. What will they do if there is no match? As you know, the Sheriff's Department has refused to allow America's Most Wanted and CBS 48 Hours to do shows about the case. They say they believe the killer is local and they don't have the manpower to investigate all the leads the exposure would generate. According to the Sheriff's Department's website, the department has 475 certified law enforcement officers, 450 corrections officers, and 75 civilian support staff members. Out of that number, they don't have adequate personnel. It's hard to believe. The killer is local? Question mark. How can they know? Jonna Berry has lived in Bristol and Johnson City, as well as Knoxville, and has traveled to Michigan and Georgia. The killer could be from any of those places. Or the killer, if he had been local, could have fled the area. How can they know where he was from or where he is now? The Sheriff's Department also talked about 200 DNA samples they collected. In the BTK case in Kansas, the Wichita Police and Kansas Bureau of Investigation collected thousands of samples. As it turned out, now one of those samples was from the person who was eventually identified as the killer. We hear statements like, because they have the DNA, that means they will get the killer. In the BTK case, it wasn't the DNA that led to his capture. It's the fact he sent taunting messages to the police and the local media. The police had BTK's DNA since the mid-1970s, and he was only caught last year because of his communications. There are thousands of cases across the country where the authorities have DNA, but for a variety of reasons have not matched the DNA to the perpetrator. So having DNA alone is not always enough. We also hear from the Sheriff's Department the TBI never investigates local cases in Knox County. Remember Randall Pettigo? While that case was different in many aspects, the local authorities had no problem in requesting assistance from the TBI in those circumstances. The TBI has 15 investigators in their East Tennessee office in Chattanooga. One would think they could send at least one of those investigators to Knoxville to go over the case with Detective Hall. There are many cases where another investigator takes a look at a case and found something that has been overlooked or missed by others. The family has asked another set of eyes look at the case. What is the harm in that? I find the lack of urgency to find the killer perplexing. In the Larry Bible case out of Texas, Bible killed a young woman and roughly 2 years later murdered 3 more people, one of them a baby. If there is no apparent concern among our local law enforcement officials here that the person who killed Jonna could do the same, I find that lack of concern strange. It's been over 2 years now and no arrest for the murder of Jonna Berry. The case is cold. I ask you to use your good offices to bring a change in the investigation so the killer may be found and the Jonna and the Berry family can receive a measure of justice. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Clerk?